The Curley Howard mystery finally solved and isn't good. Curley Howard, born Jerome Lester Horowitz on October 29, 1903 in Brooklyn, New York, was the youngest member of the legendary comedy trio, the Three Stooges. With his bald head, high-pitched voice, and wild physical antics, Curley became the heart and soul of the group's slapstick humor. He joined the act in 1932, replacing his brother Shemp, and quickly stole the spotlight with his unique energy and improvisational brilliance. Despite his on-screen hilarity, Curley was known to be a shy and gentle soul off-camera. He struggled with health issues and personal heartbreaks, especially as fame and pressure took their toll. Still, he brought laughter to millions during the darkest times of the Great Depression and World War II. Curley's legacy is not just in the laughter he inspired, but in the authenticity he brought to comedy. His routines, filled with nyuk-nyuk-nyuk and exaggerated pratfalls, became iconic. Though his life was tragically cut short by illness, Curley Howard remains one of the most beloved figures in the history of American comedy, the first steps of a comedy legend. Curley Howard's path to comedy stardom wasn't planned. It was almost accidental. Born into a Jewish family in Brooklyn, he was the youngest of 5 brothers, including Mo and Shemp Howard, who had already begun their careers in vaudeville. Curley had no formal training in acting or comedy. In fact, he worked various odd jobs, including as a ballroom floor cleaner and a singer in small clubs. His big break came in 1932 when his brother Shemp decided to leave the Three Stooges. Mo and their partner, Larry Fine, needed a replacement. Curley, with his naturally funny personality and fearless physical comedy, was a surprising but perfect fit. To look the part, he shaved off his thick curly hair, ironically earning him the nickname Curly. Though nervous at first, Curley quickly won over audiences with his childlike innocence, unpredictable outbursts, and iconic catchphrases. From the moment he joined the act, it was clear that a star had been born, one who didn't follow the rules of traditional comedy but rewrote them through sheer charisma and unfiltered energy. Curley Howard and his greatest work. Curley Howard's legacy is forever etched in the golden era of comedy through his unforgettable performances with the Three Stooges. Between 1934 and 1946, he appeared in nearly 100 short films that helped define slapstick humor for generations. His physical comedy, distinctive voice, and hilarious improvisations made him the heart of the trio. One of his most iconic works is Men in Black, 1934, a medical spoof that earned the Stooges their only Academy Award nomination. In this short, Curley's chaotic energy and absurd charm were on full display as he bumbled through hospital hijinks with Mo and Larry. Another standout is A Plumbing We Will Go, 1940, often cited as one of the funniest Stooge films ever made. In it, Curley's confused interactions with a maze of plumbing pipes became legendary, showcasing his impeccable timing and gift for turning ordinary objects into comedic gold. In An Ache in Every Steak, 1941, Curley shines as an ice delivery man whose misadventures escalate into full-blown mayhem, a masterclass in physical comedy. His expressions, noises, and spontaneous reactions made every scene unpredictable and irresistibly funny. Fans also remember Microphonies, 1945, where Curley hilariously pretends to be a famous opera singer. His ability to transform into absurd characters while keeping a straight face was unmatched. Though he never had a solo career, Curley's brilliance made him the standout Stooge. His performances weren't just silly, they were rooted in a deep understanding of rhythm, timing, and audience connection. His influence continues today, inspiring countless comedians and leaving behind a catalog of comedic genius that's still beloved around the world. The golden age of Curly Howard. The peak of Curly Howard's career came during the mid-1930s to early 1940s, a period when he was not just a star, but a comedic phenomenon. As the standout member of the Three Stooges, Curly's energy, originality, and childlike innocence captured the hearts of millions. While Moe was the enforcer and Larry the confused middleman, it was Curly who delivered the punchlines, both literally and figuratively. At his best, Curly was a master of physical comedy. His routines, from spinning on the floor, barking like a dog, to inventing gibberish like nyuk-nyuk-nyuk and certainly, became trademarks that defined an entire era of humor. Unlike many silent-era comedians, Curly thrived with sound, using his unique voice and expressions to elevate even the simplest gag. From 1934 to 1942, the Stooges were producing multiple shorts a year, many of which were built around Curly's comedic brilliance, hits like Disorder in the Court. We Want Our Mummy and Dizzy Doctors showcased not just slapstick, but also his impeccable timing and improvisational genius. Audiences flocked to theaters just to see what ridiculous antics Curly would unleash next. During this time, Columbia Pictures heavily promoted the trio, but it was Curly who shined brightest. His fame transcended film, children imitated his voice, comedians studied his rhythm, and directors marveled at his instincts. He didn't just perform comedy, he embodied it. However, success came at a price. The grueling schedule and physical demands of slapstick took a toll on Curly's health. But even through exhaustion, he delivered performances that are still celebrated today. For a brief window in Hollywood history, Curly Howard wasn't just part of a comedy team. He was the beating heart of one of America's most beloved institutions. Curly Howard and his troubled marriage. Behind the laughs that defined his legacy, Curly Howard lived a private life filled with longing, instability, and heartbreak, especially when it came to love. Despite being adored on screen for his energetic antics and lovable personality, Curly struggled deeply in his romantic relationships. His journey through marriage was not a tale of fairy tale love, but one marked by repeated attempts to find something lasting in a life dominated by performance and pressure. Curly married 4 times. His first marriage, in 1930 to Julia Rosenthal, lasted only a few months before being annulled. It was a rash decision, likely influenced by youthful impulsiveness and his early desire for emotional connection during his rise to fame. In 1937, Curly married Elaine Ackerman. This marriage brought him his only child, a daughter named Marilyn. For a brief time, it seemed he had found stability. However, as the pressures of Hollywood life mounted, coupled with Curly's growing health issues and heavy drinking, the relationship deteriorated and eventually ended in divorce. Perhaps the most dramatic of all was his third marriage to Marion Buxbaum in 1945. Their union lasted just 3 months before devolving into a bitter, highly publicized divorce. The tabloid press had a field day, airing their disputes and further humiliating Curly, who was already in emotional decline. The ordeal hurt him deeply, leaving scars that never fully healed. By 1947, Curly's health was in serious decline due to a series of strokes. That same year, he married Valerie Newman. Unlike his previous relationships, Valerie brought a quiet steadiness to his life. She stayed by his side through his most fragile years, caring for him as his physical and emotional health faded. They remained married until Curly's death in 1952. Though he made millions laugh, Curly's personal life told a more somber story. Fame could not fill the void he felt, nor could it mend the broken parts of his heart. Each marriage, in its own way, reflected a man who longed to be loved for who he truly was, off stage, away from the spotlight, and though he never quite found that enduring love, those who knew him remember his sincerity and the quiet vulnerability behind his comedic genius. Curley Howard and the dark days of declining health. The true turning point in Curley Howard's life came not from the spotlight, but from his silent battle with deteriorating health, behind his ever-energetic stage persona. Curley's body was wearing down, the toll of years filled with overwork, poor lifestyle habits, and emotional turmoil. By the early 1940s, fans began to notice changes. His once impeccable timing seemed off. His physical comedy, once full of boundless energy, grew slower, labored, and less precise. But what they couldn't see was the internal storm building. Curley suffered from high blood pressure and obesity, conditions exacerbated by his constant smoking and heavy drinking, the stress of personal disappointments, including his failed marriages, further chipped away at his emotional stability, though he tried to mask his struggles with humor. Those close to him saw a different man off camera, exhausted, withdrawn, and increasingly frustrated with his declining performance. In 1945, the breaking point arrived. Curley suffered a minor stroke while filming a short for the Three Stooges. It shocked the entire production team. Though he managed to return briefly, he was never the same. His speech was slurred, his coordination faltered, and his spirit dimmed. Mo Howard, his brother and co-star, watched helplessly as Curley, the man who once lit up every room, struggled to complete basic scenes. Despite efforts to rehabilitate him, Curley's health only worsened. He was eventually replaced in the act in 1946 by Shemp Howard, another brother. For a performer whose identity was wrapped in laughter and motion, being sidelined was more than a career change. It was a personal devastation. The very thing that had once defined him now became a cruel reminder of what he could no longer do. This period marked a profound shift in Curley's life. The applause faded, the cameras stopped rolling, and he faced a lonely descent into illness. Yet through it all, Curley never lost the heart that made him beloved. Even in sickness, he remained a man who brought joy, a performer whose body gave out, but whose spirit still clung to the laughter he once gave the world. The real reason Curley Howard collapsed. The causes of Curley Howard's illness were as complex as the man himself, a tragic combination of genetics, lifestyle choices, and the crushing pressures of fame. From a young age, Curley was never particularly health conscious. Unlike his brothers Mo and Shemp, who maintained a certain level of discipline, Curley indulged in excess. He was known for his love of food, his heavy drinking, and a near addiction to late-night partying. What began as a way to unwind after grueling days on set slowly spiraled into a destructive routine. Curley suffered from chronic high blood pressure, something likely exacerbated by his poor diet, obesity, and alcoholism. He also battled extreme stress, which stemmed not only from the physical demands of slapstick comedy, but also from deep emotional pain, despite being the life of the party on screen. Curley was a sensitive soul off camera, a man prone to anxiety, depression, and intense self-doubt. His multiple failed marriages further deepened his feelings of loneliness and instability. Adding to his troubles was the relentless pace of his career. As one-third of the Three Stooges, Curley had to perform nonstop, sometimes filming multiple shorts in a week. The physicality of his comedy, pratfalls, exaggerated facial expressions, and chaotic fight scenes demanded extraordinary stamina. But instead of getting rest or medical attention, Curley pushed through, relying on alcohol to numb both physical and emotional pain. By the early 1940s, his body began to break down. His timing faltered, his movements slowed, and his once booming voice became raspy. But studio executives ignored the warning signs, continuing to exploit his popularity while turning a blind eye to his suffering. Curley himself, proud and loyal to his fans, refused to step away from the spotlight. There are also reports that he suffered at least one minor stroke years before the one that ultimately ended his career. These early strokes went undiagnosed or untreated, further weakening his cardiovascular system. Combined with a lack of proper medical care and self-neglect, the damage became irreversible. Ultimately, Curley's health issues were not caused by one singular event, but by years of silent suffering. His lifestyle caught up with him, and the entertainment industry, always hungry for laughs, never gave him the time or space to heal. He gave everything to his audience, his energy, his youth, his body. In return, he was left with a failing heart, a broken spirit, and a legacy built on pain as much as laughter. The tormented death of Curley Howard. By the mid-1940s, Curley Howard was a shadow of the energetic, wild-eyed comedian that had once delighted millions. Years of physical comedy, untreated health conditions, and personal heartache had taken a devastating toll. The final blow came in 1946 during the filming of a Three Stooges short titled Half-Wits Holiday. Just after wrapping a scene, Curley collapsed on set. He had suffered a massive stroke. It was the moment his body finally gave out after years of silent suffering. He was immediately replaced in the Stooges by his older brother, Shemp Howard, while Curley was taken off camera to recover. But the recovery never truly came. Though he tried to regain his strength, Curley was never the same. His speech was slurred, his mobility impaired, and his once bright spirit seemed dimmed forever. Over the next few years, his health deteriorated further. He made only one brief cameo in a later short. But the man who had once carried the group with his charm and physical genius was clearly fading. By the early 1950s, Curley was living in hospitals and care facilities, struggling with additional strokes and the complications of his deteriorating condition. In 1952, he married for the fourth and final time, seeking companionship and peace in his final years. Sadly, those years were short-lived. On January 18, 1952, Jerome Curley Howard died at the age of 48. The official cause was a cerebral hemorrhage brought on by his long-standing health issues, including high blood pressure and the after-effects of multiple strokes. He passed away quietly in a care facility in San Gabriel, California, far from the sound stages and laughter that once defined his life. His death marked the end of an era, but also solidified his place as one of comedy's most beloved figures. Though his life ended too soon, the joy he brought to audiences remains timeless. In his final years, Curley faded from the public eye, but never from the hearts of those who grew up laughing with him. The timeless legacy of an immortal comedian. Curley Howard's legacy is one of laughter, resilience, and a kind of comedic brilliance that transcends time. Though he died young, his impact continues to echo across generations. As the most beloved member of the Three Stooges, Curley carved out a unique place in comedy history, not just through his wild physical antics, but through his authenticity, innocence, and boundless energy. His signature catchphrases like nyuk-nyuk-nyuk and certainly became cultural staples, instantly recognizable even today. But Curley's true gift was his ability to make people laugh without ever uttering a word. His physical comedy, exaggerated expressions, pratfalls, and spontaneous outbursts was a masterclass in timing and instinct. Comedians and actors still study his work as a blueprint for slapstick perfection. More than that, Curly represented something rare in show business: vulnerability. Beneath the clownish exterior was a man who battled health issues, heartbreak, and insecurity, yet gave everything to his audience. That raw sincerity made his performances unforgettable. He wasn't just playing funny, he was being funny. From the heart. Even today, long after his passing, Curly's legacy lives on in reruns, DVDs, internet clips, and countless impersonations. New fans continue to discover him and fall in love with the bald stooge with the big heart. Expensive lessons from the life of Curly Howard. The life of Curly Howard teaches us one powerful lesson. True greatness often comes from vulnerability and the courage to bring joy to others, even in the face of personal pain. Behind the slapstick humor and the exaggerated antics was a man who carried silent battles with health, heartbreak, and self-worth. Yet, he never let those struggles reach his audience. Curly gave his all, not for fame, but because making people laugh was his purpose. He didn't need polished words or glamour. His gift was pure, instinctive, and straight from the heart. In doing so, he showed us that authenticity resonates more deeply than perfection ever could. The lesson he leaves behind is timeless. You don't have to be flawless to be loved. You don't have to be loud to be heard. And sometimes, the most unforgettable impact comes from simply being yourself, unapologetically, joyfully, and with heart. Curly Howard's legacy reminds us that kindness and laughter are more powerful than pain, and that the simplest gestures can echo for generations.